Hey guys, tonight we begin with a journey into the dark, breathing heart of Tudor London. We're not visiting the royal court, nor are we walking the corridors of power with Thomas Cromwell. We're going much, much lower than that. We're descending into a world that everyone knew existed but no one wanted to acknowledge. A world of absolute necessity and profound social stigma. Tonight, we're going to spend a night in the life of a man with arguably the worst job in history, a man whose work made city life possible, yet earned him a place at the very bottom of the social ladder. He was known by many names, a Nightman, a raker, a Gong Farmer, but his most common title was the Gong Farmer. The word gong came from the Old English gang, which means to go. He was, quite literally, the man who farmed the goings. Our story isn't about grand battles or political intrigue. It's about the grit, the smell, the crushing physical labor, and the strange, solitary pride of performing a task so vile that the city decreed it could only be done under the cloak of darkness, between the hours of 9 at night and 5 in the morning. We're going to explore the life of one of these men, to understand not just what he did, but who he was, what he felt, and how he navigated a world that held him at arm's length. We'll delve into the strange economics of his trade, the surprising dangers he faced, and the quiet dignity he found in the shadows. So prepare yourself for a journey that is equal parts disgusting, fascinating, and deeply human. This is the story of the man who cleaned up the mess of a metropolis, one stinking bucket at a time. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The first thing you are aware of is the cold. Not the sharp, biting cold of a winter's morn, but the deep, damp chill of a London evening in late autumn that has seeped through the wattle and daub walls of your small house. It's a cold that lives in your bones. For most of London, this chill is a signal to huddle closer to a spouse, to pull the thin woolen blanket a little tighter and drift deeper into the relative peace of sleep. For you, it is the bell that tolls the start of your working day. Your name is Thomas. A good, simple name. You are 32 years old, though your back and knees often feel twice that age. Your wife, Agnes, sleeps beside you. Her breathing is a soft, rhythmic whisper in the profound quiet of the room. In the corner, on a straw pallet, your 2 children, a boy of 8 and a girl of 6, are curled together like a pair of dormant squirrels. Their peaceful stillness is the reason you do this. It is the image you will hold in your mind for the next 8 hours, a talisman against the foulness to come. You don't need a clock. The rhythm of the city winding down is your timepiece. The boisterous shouting from the alehouse at the end of your lane has softened to a dull murmur. The last of the apprentices have been corralled indoors. The only sounds from the street are the occasional scuttling of a rat in the thatch or the lonely cry of the city watch calling out the hour, a sound that always seems to hang in the air with a note of melancholy. 9 of the clock, and all's well. You wonder if the watchman ever considers the irony of that statement, knowing that men like you are just beginning their labors. You slide your legs out from under the blanket, careful not to disturb Agnes. The wooden floorboards are cold and rough against the soles of your feet. You don't bother with a candle just yet. You know the layout of this small, 2-room house as well as you know the lines on your own hand. You move through the darkness with a practiced silence, a ghost in your own home. In the main room, which serves as kitchen, workshop, and living space, the embers of the day's fire still glow faintly in the hearth. You add a few small pieces of wood, coaxing them gently until a weak flame licks upwards, casting long, dancing shadows on the walls. By this flickering light, you dress. There are no special uniforms for your trade, no protective gear in the way a modern mind would understand it. Your protection is simply a collection of your oldest, most worn-out clothes. You pull on a pair of thick woolen breeches, patched at the knees so many times the original fabric is a distant memory. Over your linen shirt, you don a leather jerkin, stiff and stained with the ghosts of 1,000 nights' work. It smells faintly of sweat, soil, and something else, a deep, earthy, acrid scent that never quite washes out, no matter how much lye soap Agnes uses. It's the smell of your trade. The smell of Gong. Your most important possessions are your boots. They are your one true expense, made of thick, oiled leather that reaches almost to your knees. You spent more on them than you would on food for a month, but they're your shield. They keep out the damp, the filth, and the occasional sharp object hidden in the muck. You check them carefully, running a finger along the seams, ensuring there are no new cracks or holes. A leaky boot isn't just an inconvenience, it's an invitation to sickness, to the kind of fevers that can take a man down in a week. As you lace them up, you can't help but think about the paradox of your life. By day, if you walk through the market, people give you a wide berth. They see the stains on your hands that scrubbing can't remove, they catch that faint, lingering scent, and they avert their eyes. Mothers pull their children closer. You are a necessary phantom, a living embodiment of the city's most private, unpleasant reality. You are, in the starkest terms, untouchable. But at night, in the dark, you are a master. A professional. You are sought out, contracted, and, most importantly, paid. And you are paid surprisingly well. A successful Gong farmer can earn more than a skilled carpenter or a stonemason. The 2 shillings per ton of waste removed, the standard rate set by the guilds, is a handsome sum. It's enough to keep this roof over your family's head, to put bread and the occasional bit of salt pork on the table, and to dream, however faintly, of a better life for your son. Perhaps he won't have to follow you into the pits. Perhaps he can be apprenticed to a tanner, or a weaver, a clean trade. This is the bargain you have made with the city, with society, with God himself, you sometimes think. You will take on the filth, the stench, and the shame. In return, your family will not starve. You eat a small piece of dark, heavy bread left over from supper, washing it down with a gulp of small beer. It's not for pleasure, it's fuel for the long night ahead. The physical demands of the job are immense. It is hours of relentless, back-breaking labor. From a corner, you gather the first tools of your trade. A shovel with a long wooden handle, its iron spade worn and scarred. A small, sturdy pickaxe for breaking up compacted waste. And a coil of thick, greasy rope. These you will carry to the cart. Before you leave, you pause at the door and look back into the sleeping room. The firelight casts a warm, gentle glow on Agnes's face. For a moment, you allow yourself to feel the full weight of your love for her, and the profound injustice that this is the life you must provide. It's a dangerous feeling, a crack in the armor of stoicism you wear every night. You can't afford self-pity. It's as hazardous as a rotten ladder. You close the door as softly as you opened it, the latch clicking with a quiet finality. The night awaits. You step out into the lane, the damp air hitting your face. You are now Thomas the Gong Farmer. And your shift has begun. The lane outside your house is a narrow, winding affair, a canyon of timber-framed houses whose upper floors lean towards each other as if sharing secrets. By day, it's a chaotic river of humanity, filled with playing children, scolding mothers, wandering pigs, and the cries of vendors. but now it is utterly transformed. It is a place of shadows and echoes. The moon is a sliver tonight, offering little comfort. The darkness is thick, almost tangible. It pulls in the doorways and under the jetted upper floors. This is your world. You are more comfortable in this nocturnal city than you are in the sunlit one. In the dark, all men are shadows. You make your way towards the small, gated yard where you and 2 other men, your partners in this foul enterprise, keep the cart. The cart is the centerpiece of your operation, a heavy, 2-wheeled monstrosity with a large, sealed wooden tank built onto its axle. It is, essentially, a Tudor-era septic truck. Maintaining it is a constant battle against rot and leakage. Every seam is meticulously sealed with pitch, a task you perform twice a year. A leaking cart is not only a loss of valuable night soil but a disaster that could get your license revoked by the city alderman. You hear them before you see them. The low murmur of voices, the clink of metal on stone. You round a corner and see the silhouette of the cart, and beside it, 2 figures lit by the glow of a single, shielded lantern. They are your crew. Your company. There is old William, a man whose face is a roadmap of 50 hard years. He is the rope man. His hands are like knotted oak, his arms corded with muscle from a lifetime of hauling. William is a man of few words, but his silence is a comfortable one. He has seen it all, smelled it all, and survived it all. He is the anchor of your small team, his steadiness a reassurance in the literal and figurative depths of your work. And then there is young Kit. He can't be more than 17. He is your tub man, a role that is both an apprenticeship and a trial by fire. He is wiry and quick, his youth a stark contrast to the grimness of the job. He joined your crew 6 months ago, driven by the same force that drives all of you, desperation. He was an orphan, living hand-to-mouth on the streets before William found him and offered him a chance. A filthy, stinking chance, but a chance nonetheless. He still flinches at the worst of the smells, his face sometimes going pale in the lantern light, but he has not run. You see a flicker of yourself in him, the same mixture of fear, disgust, and grim determination. Thomas, William grunts by way of greeting, not looking up from where he's checking the cart's axle. William. Kit, you reply, your voice low. In the quiet of the night, you speak in hushed tones, as if not to wake the sleeping city. The brewer's house tonight, then. Kit asks, his voice a little too loud. He's still learning the etiquette of the night. Aye, the brewer's, you confirm. The big house on Cheapside. A 2-tonner, I reckon. Maybe more. The contract says it hasn't been emptied in 3 years. William spits on the ground. 3 years. Rich folk. They let it pile up until the stink reaches their own noses in the parlor. They think their gold makes their shite smell of roses. This is the kind of gallows humor that sustains you. A shared cynicism that bonds you together more tightly than any formal oath. You are the city's confessors, privy to its most basic, animalistic secret. Everyone, from the king in his palace to the beggar in the gutter, produces waste. It is the great leveler, and you are its priests. You load your personal tools onto the cart, securing them alongside the other implements of the trade, several large wooden buckets, or tubs, reinforced with iron bands, more coils of rope, and a set of long-handled ladles that look like grotesque cooking utensils. You also have a small barrel of vinegar and a bundle of rags. Before and after each job, you will all rinse your hands and faces with vinegar, a crude but somewhat effective attempt to cut through the grease and stench. The final piece of equipment is a small, but vital one, a long, thin hazel wand. This will be your first tool used at the site, a divining rod for the disgusting. With everything loaded, you and Kit take up positions on either side of the cart's shafts, while William prepares to push from behind. The horse that normally pulls the cart is a luxury you can't afford for every job. It's expensive to keep, and its clattering hooves draw too much attention in the narrow residential lanes. For jobs within the city walls, you are the beasts of burden. Right then, you grunt, gripping the wooden shaft. It's cold and slightly slick with evening dew. Let's earn our coin. With a coordinated heave, the three of you put your shoulders into it. The cart groans in protest, the wheels scraping against the cobblestones. It's heavy, even when empty. The journey to Cheapside will take the better part of an hour, a slow, arduous procession through the sleeping city. As you pull, you fall into a familiar rhythm. The sounds of your labor, the rumble of the wheels, your own strained breathing, the occasional muttered curse from Kit, become the night's soundtrack. You pass darkened houses, their windows like vacant eyes. Here and there, a light flickers in an upper window, a sick child, a scholar working late, a clandestine affair. You are invisible to them, a part of the nocturnal landscape they choose not to see. You navigate the labyrinthine streets of London, a city you know by smell as much as by sight. You can tell you're nearing a butcher's district by the coppery tang of old blood, the fishmongers by the brine and rot, the tanneries by the eye-watering ammonia. Your own trade has sharpened your senses to an almost painful degree. Your route takes you past St. Paul's, its massive, dark shape looming against the slightly less black sky. The great cathedral seems to watch your slow, humble procession, a stone titan indifferent to the foul but essential work happening at its feet. You think about the irony of it all. Inside that grand building, priests speak of sin and redemption, of cleansing the soul. You, meanwhile, are on your way to perform a much more literal kind of cleansing. And while their work may promise eternal salvation, yours ensures that the city will not drown in its own filth and succumb to the plague by next Tuesday. It's a very modern feeling thought, a sliver of sardonic analysis that keeps you sane. Their business is the soul, your business is the bowel. Both are messy, in their own way. The cart rumbles on, a testament to your shared toil. You are not just colleagues, you are a guild of three, bound by a common, unspeakable purpose. You are the Nightmen, and you are heading into the heart of the beast. Cheapside is one of London's main arteries, a wide thoroughfare that is, by day, a bustling hub of commerce. It's home to the city's wealthiest merchants, the goldsmiths, the mercers, the haberdashers. The houses here are larger, grander, set back from the street with small courtyards. They are statements of wealth and power, built to impress. But you know their secret. Behind the carved oak and leaded glass, they are no different from your own humble dwelling. They have the same fundamental problem. You arrive outside the brewer's house, a 3-story timber-framed mansion. Its darkened windows give it an air of sleeping arrogance. The contract was arranged through the brewer's steward, a pinched-faced man who spoke to you through a handkerchief held to his nose, even though you were standing in the open air and had washed thoroughly for the meeting. The memory brings a wry smile to your lips. Your first task is to locate the target, the privy, or the jakes, and its underlying cesspit. In a house this grand, it won't be a simple bucket in a closet. It will be a dedicated structure, likely at the rear of the property, a small brick or stone outbuilding. William, The lantern, you say quietly. William unhooks the lantern from the cart and removes its shield. The sudden pool of warm, yellow light feels like a trespass in the oppressive darkness. You lead the way down a narrow alley alongside the house, your boots crunching softly on the gravel. The air here is already changing. The general miasma of London is being replaced by something more specific, more potent. It's a smell you know intimately, the deep, sulphurous, eye-watering stench of concentrated human waste. Smell that, Kit? William says, his voice a low rumble. That's the smell of money. Kit just grunts, his face tight. You find the privy at the back of the house, in a small, walled garden. It's a surprisingly neat little building, with a proper tiled roof and a carved wooden door. A testament to the brewer's desire to make even the basest of functions appear civilized. But the architecture is just a mask. The truth lies beneath. Beside the privy is a large, flat stone slab, about 4 feet square, with an iron ring set into its center. This is the entrance to the underworld. The cover of the cesspit. Right, you say, handing your shovel to Kit. Let's see what we're dealing with. You take the long, thin hazel wand from William. This is the first, crucial test. You crouch down and insert the tip of the wand into a small test hole at the edge of the stone slab. You push it down gently. It slides through a few inches of liquid and then meets a soft, yielding resistance. This is the crust, a semi-solid layer that forms on top. You push deeper. The wand continues to sink, through layers of varying consistency, until it hits the hard-packed bottom of the pit. You then carefully withdraw it, bringing it to the lantern light. This is where your expertise comes in. You are not just a laborer, you are a diagnostician of decay. You examine the wand like a physician examining a tongue. You note the depth of the waste, nearly 10 feet. You note the consistency. The first few feet are mostly liquid, that's night soil that can be easily ladled. But the lower levels, the material that is years old, will be a thick, dense, almost solid mass. This is the gong. It will have to be broken up with the pickaxe. But there is another, more important test. You hold the wand close to your nose and take a short, sharp sniff. You're not smelling for the general foulness, you're smelling for something else. A sharp, almost sweet scent, like rotten eggs mixed with something metallic. It's the sign of the vapors, what a future age would call methane and hydrogen sulfide. It's a ripe one, you announce. The fumes are strong. We'll need to let it breathe before anyone goes down. This is the greatest danger of your profession. It's not the filth, or the diseases that fester within it. It's the air itself. More than one Gong Farmer has descended into a poorly ventilated pit, been overcome by the noxious fumes, and simply collapsed, drowning in the very material he was meant to remove. They call it the falling sickness of the pit. You knew a man, John Pyle, who lost his son that way. The boy went down, passed out, and John, in a desperate attempt to save him, went down after him. They found them both the next morning. The memory is a cold knot in your stomach. You will not make that mistake. William, Kit. The lid. Together, the three of you hook your pickaxes under the iron ring. With a coordinated grunt, you heave. The stone slab is immensely heavy. For a moment, it resists, sealed tight by dirt and time. Then, with a sickening tearing sound, it breaks free. You slide it carefully to one side. And then it hits you. The smell. It's not a scent, it's a physical force. A wave of putrid air that washes over you, so thick you can almost taste it. It's a complex, horrifying bouquet, the sharp tang of ammonia, the rotten egg stench of sulfur, overlaid with a deep, cloying sweetness of decay. It's the smell of 1,000 meals, of births and sicknesses, of life and slow decomposition, all concentrated in one subterranean chamber. Kit stumbles back, gagging, his hand over his mouth. God's teeth, he chokes out. William just stands there, his face impassive, letting the first, most potent wave wash over him. He's learned not to fight it. You hold your breath for as long as you can, then force yourself to take small, shallow sips of the air, letting your body acclimatize. This is the moment that separates the professionals from the amateurs. You have to conquer your own biology, your body's primal revulsion. Give it a moment to breathe, you say, your voice strained. Let the worst of it greet the night sky. You stand in silence for a few minutes, the three of you and the gaping, stinking maw in the earth. The lantern light spills over the edge, revealing a dark, viscous, bubbling surface a few feet below. Something shifts in the depths, releasing a fresh burp of gas. This pit is your adversary for the night. A 10-foot deep monster of human effluence. You have taken its measure, you have survived its first assault. Now, you must prepare to dismember it, piece by piece. You look at William, at Kit, and see your own grim determination reflected in their faces. The preliminaries are over. The real work is about to begin. The cesspit has been open for a quarter of an hour. The initial, overwhelming wave of odor has subsided into a constant, oppressive presence. It no longer feels like an assault, but more like a suffocating blanket you must now wear for the rest of the night. It's time to begin the extraction. This is a carefully choreographed operation, a three-man dance refined by centuries of trial and error. Each of you has a specific role, a station in the hierarchy of filth. Tonight, as the master of this crew, the most dangerous and vital role falls to you. You will be the one to go into the pit. But first, the preparations. William, the rope man, drives a heavy iron stake into the ground a few feet from the pit's edge. He loops one of his thickest ropes around it, testing the anchor with his full weight. This will be your lifeline. He then rigs a simple pulley system over the opening, using a sturdy tripod of wooden beams you carry on the cart. This will be for the buckets. Meanwhile, Kit, the tub man, is preparing his domain. He lines up 3 of the large wooden tubs near the cesspit, and another 3 by the alleyway, ready for transport to the cart. His job for the first few hours will be a relentless cycle of carrying full tubs from the pit to the alley, empty tubs from the alley back to the pit. It's punishing, repetitive work, but crucial for maintaining the flow of the operation. Now, it is your turn to prepare for the descent. You strip off your leather jerkin, leaving you in just your shirt. The fewer clothes you have on, the fewer that will need to be laboriously cleaned. You take a rag, soak it in the vinegar from your barrel, and tie it around your nose and mouth. It's a flimsy defense, more of a psychological comfort than a real barrier against the fumes, but every little bit helps. The sharp scent of the vinegar is a welcome, if temporary, distraction. You approach the edge of the pit. William hands you a sturdy wooden ladder. You lower it carefully into the darkness until its feet thud softly into the muck below. Then, you take the lifeline he prepared and tie it securely around your chest, under your arms. Ready, Thomas? William asks, his hand on the rope. It's the only time you'll see a flicker of concern on his face. He's the safety man. Your life is literally in his hands. Ready, you reply, your voice muffled by the vinegar rag. You swing your legs over the edge and place your feet onto the top rung of the ladder. The wood is slick with condensation and something worse. You take a deep breath of the comparatively fresh night air, hold it, and begin to climb down. The world changes with every rung. The lantern light from above grows dimmer, the darkness below more absolute. The stench intensifies, becoming a thick, choking fog. By the third rung, your boots are submerged in the cold, viscous liquid. It's a disgusting, violating sensation, the feeling of the city's filth closing in around you. You force yourself to keep going, one rung at a time, until your feet touch the bottom. You are now standing waist deep in the cesspit. For a moment, you just stand there, letting your eyes adjust to the gloom and your body to the vile embrace of the pit. The lantern above casts an eerie glow, illuminating a small circle of the churning, dark surface. The waste is not static. It shifts and moves, releasing slow, lazy bubbles of gas that pop with a wet, ploshing sound. It feels, horribly, like you are standing in the stomach of some great, sleeping beast. This is the point of no return. You are now in the belly of the whale. Send down the first bucket, you call out, your voice echoing strangely in the confined space. A moment later, a wooden bucket descends on a rope, swinging gently until it hovers just above the surface. This is where your own physical labor begins. Using a long-handled ladle, you begin to scoop the semi-liquid waste into the bucket. The work is slow, rhythmic, and utterly exhausting. Scoop, lift, pour. Scoop, lift, pour. The ladle is heavy, and the material it carries is thick and resistant. Your shoulders and back are already screaming in protest. The air is so foul that each breath is a conscious effort, a battle against your instinct to retch. Sweat pours down your face, stinging your eyes. When the bucket is full, and you know by its weight exactly when that is, you shout, "Haul away." Above, William and Kit lean into the pulley rope, and the full bucket begins its slow ascent. As it rises, another empty one is being lowered by Kit. The exchange is seamless, a continuous loop of extraction. You don't pause. You don't rest. You simply grab the new bucket and continue scooping. This is your world for the next few hours. The small, stinking circle of lantern light. The cold, clinging filth. The rhythmic sounds of your own labor, the creak of the pulley, and the distant scrape of Kit carrying the tubs to the cart. You lose all track of time. The concept of minutes and hours dissolves, replaced by the simple, brutal metronome of buckets filled and buckets hauled. Your mind drifts into a strange state of focused detachment. You think of nothing but the next scoop, the next lift. It's a survival mechanism. To think of where you are, of what you are standing in, would be to invite madness. Instead, you focus on the small details. The way the light reflects off a particularly large bubble of gas. The feel of a solid object under your ladle, a discarded bone, perhaps, or a piece of broken pottery. Cesspits are accidental archives of household life. You've found everything in them over the years: coins, rings, children's toys, even a whole side of bacon once. The brewer's pit offers up a steady supply of spent hops and grain, adding a strange, fermented note to the overall bouquet. It's like a grotesque parody of his trade. He makes beer from grain and water. You are unmaking it. After what feels like an eternity, the liquid level has dropped significantly. You are now standing only knee-deep in the muck. But the work is about to get harder. You have reached the lower layers, the compacted gong of years past. Send down the pick, you shout. The ladle is hauled up, and the small, short-handled pickaxe is lowered down. This is the most dangerous part of the job within the pit. The compacted waste can be deceptively solid. Hitting it can release sudden, concentrated pockets of gas. You've heard stories of men being knocked unconscious by a sudden burst of fumes unleashed by a careless swing. You plant your feet as firmly as you can in the sludge and begin to chip away at the dense, dark mass. It's like mining in a nightmare. Each swing of the pick sends a jolt through your arms. The sound is a dull, wet thud. With each chunk you break free, you switch back to the shovel, loading the heavy, soil-like material into the buckets. This is the true gong. It's less offensive to the nose than the liquid slurry, but its weight is immense. Each bucket now feels twice as heavy. Your muscles burn with a fire that is almost as potent as the stench. Up above, you can hear the strain in William's grunts as he hauls the heavier loads. You hear Kit panting as he runs his circuit. The three of you are a single machine, fueled by bread, beer, and desperation, working in the dark to bring the hidden depths to the surface. It is a slow, brutal, but inexorable process. You are emptying the world, one bucket at a time. While you toil in the pit, a different kind of calculation is happening above ground. This isn't just about cleaning, it's about commerce. The material you are so painstakingly excavating has a value. It is our night soil, one of the most potent fertilizers known to Tudor agriculture. Every full tub that Kit carries from the pit and empties into the great sealed tank on your cart is not just waste being removed, it is a product being harvested. You are not just janitors, you are farmers of a very peculiar crop. The contract with the brewer is for removal, a flat fee based on the estimated tonnage. 2 shillings a ton. For a large pit like this, you might clear 10 tons in a single, long night. That's 20 shillings, a full pound sterling. After you split it 3 ways, your share, nearly 7 shillings, is more than a labourer might earn in 2 weeks. This is the law. This is the price that makes the horror of the pit bearable. But the fee is only half of the equation. The real enterprise lies in what you do with the product. As the tank on the cart fills, the weight becomes immense. By the 3rd or 4th hour of the night, it's clear you'll need to make your first run. Thomas! We're near full. William calls down into the pit. This is your signal for a brief respite. With painstaking slowness, you climb the slippery ladder, your body screaming with effort. Emerging from the pit is like being reborn into a world of merely terrible air, which now feels shockingly fresh by comparison. You stumble away from the opening, gasping, your body covered in a slick, dark coating. Kit hands you the vinegar barrel and a rag. You sluice your hands, arms, and face, the sharp liquid cutting through some of an outer layer of the grime. It does little for the smell that has soaked into your very skin, but it feels like a ritual of purification. While you catch your breath, William is already making preparations for the journey. This is where the horse earns its keep. The animal, a large, placid beast named Dobbin, has been tethered nearby, blissfully unaware of the nature of the cargo he is about to pull. William, with his usual quiet efficiency, backs the horse into the shafts and begins hitching him to the now monstrously heavy cart. "We'll take this load to the lay stall at Dowgate," William says, more to himself than to you. "Should get a decent price. The soil is rich." A lay stall is a designated dump, an official midden heap on the outskirts of the city or down by the river wharves. These are liminal spaces, places where the city's filth is collected before its next journey. But they are also marketplaces. Farmers, or their agents, will be waiting there, even in the dead of night, to inspect and purchase the freshest loads of night soil. It's a bizarre transaction, a nocturnal auction of ordure. The price fluctuates based on quality. Waste from the houses of the rich, who ate a diet heavy in meat and rich foods, was considered more potent and fetched a higher price than the waste from poorer districts. The brewer's cesspit, full of nitrogen-rich residue from his trade, is a prime commodity. "Go with him, Kit," you say to the young man. Your voice is a hoarse rasp. Learn the trade. Watch how William negotiates. Don't let them cheat you on the weight. Kit nods, his face serious. This is a vital part of his education. He's not just learning to haul buckets, he's learning the business. He needs to know how to judge the quality of the soil, how to haggle with the tough, shrewd farmers from Kent and Essex, and how to spot a crooked scalesman. It's a strange and dirty apprenticeship, but it holds the promise of a future. You watch as William and Kit mount the cart. With a click of the reins and a low word from William, Dobbin strains forward, his muscles bunching. The cart groans, the wheels bite into the gravel, and the first harvest of the night begins its slow, rumbling journey towards the river. You are left alone in the brewer's garden, in the company of the half-emptied pit. The silence feels profound after the constant activity. You sit on an upturned bucket, your body a symphony of aches. You allow yourself a few moments of genuine rest, chewing on another piece of dry bread you'd kept wrapped in a cloth. You look at the great, dark house, and think about the brewer sleeping soundly inside. He has no idea of the complex industry his own bodily functions support. He pays you to take away his waste, thinking of it as a simple disposal. Problem: he doesn't see the supply chain he is a part of. He produces the raw material, you are the processors and distributors, and a farmer 50 miles away is the end consumer, using the brewer's digested dinners to grow the barley that will, in time, be sold back to the brewer to make more beer. It's a perfect, closed loop. A great, stinking circle of life. You are a vital cog in the machine of the city and the countryside. A broker in the base matter of existence. People may despise your smell and shun your presence, but they are all, unknowingly, your business partners. Their biology is your economy. The thought doesn't make you proud, exactly. But it gives you a sense of place, of a strange, irrefutable importance. You are not just a cleaner of holes. You are a merchant of muck, a dealer in decay and rebirth. Your brief rest is over. You can hear the distant rumble of the returning cart. William and Kit will be back soon with an empty tank, ready to be filled again. You stand up, your joints protesting, and look back at the pit. There are still several feet of the densest, hardest gong to be mined. You pick up your vinegar rag, tie it back over your face, and prepare for your second descent. The economics are sound, but the price is paid in sweat and stench. And the bill is now due. You are back in the depths. The second half of the night is always harder than the first. The initial surge of energy has long since faded, replaced by a deep, weary ache in every muscle. Your body, slick with filth, has grown cold. The dampness seeps into you, chilling you to the bone. This is when the work becomes a battle of pure will. The material at the bottom of the pit is thick and clay-like. It's the ancient history of the brewer's family, a compressed strata of waste that clings to your shovel and pick with a stubborn tenacity. Each bucketful is a victory won through sheer, grinding effort. As you work, you are acutely aware of the dangers that surround you, dangers that go beyond the ever-present threat of the fumes. The cesspit itself is an unstable environment. The brick lining, constantly saturated, can crumble without warning. A few years ago, you were working a pit in Aldersgate when a section of the wall gave way. A shower of loose bricks and foul-smelling mortar rained down, one of them catching your then-partner on the shoulder, dislocating it and putting him out of work for a year. You have been wary of brickwork ever since. You constantly tap the walls with the handle of your shovel, listening for the hollow sound that signals a weak spot. And then there are the inhabitants. A cesspit is a thriving ecosystem. You are never truly alone down here. Rats, drawn by the promise of undigested food scraps, are a constant presence. You see their beady eyes glinting in the darkness at the edge of the lantern light. Mostly, they keep their distance, but a cornered rat can be vicious. You've learned to move with a steady, deliberate pace that doesn't startle them. Worse than the rats are the things you cannot see. The pit is a breeding ground for countless diseases. Every cut, every scrape on your skin is a potential death sentence. A small nick from a sharp stone or a piece of broken glass can become a festering wound in this environment. The fevers that follow, what the physicians call putrid fever, are swift and often fatal. This is why your knee-high leather boots are so precious, and why you inspect them with such religious care. They are the fragile wall between you and the sickness that swims around your ankles. Tonight, a new peril presents itself. As you break up a particularly dense section of the gong, your pickaxe strikes something hard with a dull clank. It is not a stone. You clear away the surrounding muck with your hands, your fingers searching in the cold sludge. You feel something large, wooden, and distressingly unstable. William, you call up. Lower the lantern. William carefully pays out more rope, and the circle of light descends closer to you. In the improved illumination, you see it. A large section of the privy's original wooden support beam has broken off and fallen into the pit years ago. It is now waterlogged and rotten, barely holding together. Your pickaxe has disturbed it, and the entire mass of compacted gong around it seems to have shifted. You are standing on unstable ground. Easy, Thomas, William's voice floats down, calm and steady. What do you see? A rotten beam. The whole bottom layer is loose around it. Can you break it up? I can try, you say, though a knot of fear is tightening in your gut. But if it shifts wrong, it could trap my legs. This is a classic Gong Farmer's dilemma. Do you risk injury to finish the job properly, or do you leave a portion of the waste behind and risk the client refusing to pay the full price? For a man like the brewer, whose wealth is built on precision and quality, an incomplete job is unacceptable. You make your decision. You have to clear it. Keep a tight hold on the lifeline, you tell William. It's an unnecessary instruction, you know he is. But saying it aloud is a comfort. You begin to work around the edges of the rotten beam, chipping away at the surrounding gong with small, careful strokes of your pick. It's delicate work, the kind of task that feels absurd given you are standing waist-deep in excrement. It is a slow and nerve-wracking process. With every piece you remove, you can feel the ground beneath your feet shift. Slightly. The suction of the thick sludge is a powerful force, and the thought of being pinned down here, in the dark and the filth, is a terror that eclipses all others. Suddenly, a large section of gong, disturbed by your work, sloughs off the wall and collapses into the space you've just cleared. It lands with a heavy, sucking splash, sending a wave of liquid filth up to your chest. The shock of the cold is intense, and for a terrifying second, you lose your footing. The lifeline jerks tight, arresting your fall. "Thomas!" William shouts, his voice sharp with alarm. "I'm all right," you gasp, scrambling to find your balance. "Just a slip." You stand there for a full minute, your heart hammering against your ribs, the adrenaline coursing through you. The wave of filth has soaked you to the skin, its foulness clinging to you like a second, colder hide. The vinegar rag has been washed from your face. You are fully immersed. It is, in a strange way, a moment of surrender. The worst has happened, short of injury or death. You are as dirty as it is physically possible to be. And you are still here. You are still working. With a deep, shuddering breath, you pick up your tool. There is no point in delicacy now. You attack the remaining compacted mass with a renewed, almost furious energy. You are no longer just cleaning a pit, you are fighting it. You are asserting your will over this small, stinking corner of creation. Slowly, painstakingly, you break up the remaining gong, shoveling the last of the solid waste into the waiting buckets. The rotten beam is cleared, the bottom of the pit is scraped clean. The job is done. Exhausted, trembling, and utterly saturated in filth, you give the signal to be hauled up. This time, as you climb the ladder, you don't feel like you are being reborn. You feel like a creature crawling out of its own grave. When you finally stand on the solid ground of the garden, you don't even have the energy to stumble away. You just stand there, dripping, steaming in the cold night air, a monument to the perils of the pit. Kid stares at you, his eyes wide with a mixture of horror and awe. William simply hands you the vinegar barrel. There is nothing to say. You have survived. That is all that matters. The brewer's cesspit is empty. The stone slab has been replaced, the last of the tubs have been loaded, and the great tank on the cart is full for a second and final time. The garden, in the weak pre-dawn light, looks almost peaceful again, betraying no sign of the vile labors that have taken place. You have erased yourselves from the scene. The three of you are a portrait of exhaustion. Your movements are slow, stiff, your faces gaunt in the lantern light. The trip to the lay stall with the final load is a quiet, somber affair. Even Kit has lost his youthful energy, his shoulders slumped in weary defeat. William negotiates the sale of the last of the night soil with the waiting farmer's agent, his voice a low, gravelly murmur. The transaction is completed, the coins counted and secured in a leather pouch. Your night's earnings are safe. Now, all that remains is the journey home. As you begin the slow walk back, pulling the now empty but still pungent cart, the city is beginning to stir. This is the liminal hour, the grey space between night and day. The sky to the east is no longer black, but a soft, bruised purple. The first birds are beginning to sing, their cheerful notes a bizarre counterpoint to your own grim state. You start to see the first signs of London waking up. A baker, his face white with flour, opens the shutters of his shop, the warm, heavenly smell of fresh bread spilling out into the street. It feels like a scent from another world, a world you are not a part of. A milkmaid, her pails clanking, walks briskly towards the city gate, her cheeks rosy from the morning chill. She sees you, her eyes widen slightly, and she crosses to the other side of the street, her pace quickening. This is the daily humiliation, the price of your trade that is not paid in coin. In the anonymity of the night, you are masters of your domain. In the light of day, you are pariahs once more. The rising sun is your enemy, it strips you of your camouflage and exposes you to the judgment of the world. You keep your eyes down, focused on the cobblestones under your feet. You pull the cart, your muscles screaming one last protest. You are a moving island of stench and grime in a city that is trying to wash itself clean for the new day. When you finally reach the yard where the cart is kept, the process of cleaning up begins. It is a ritual as important as the work itself. You use buckets of water hauled from a nearby well to slosh out the tank of the cart, washing the worst of the residue into the street gutter, where it will join the rest of the city's daily filth on its journey to the Fleet River and then the Thames. Then, you turn to yourselves. You strip off your work clothes, the stiff, stinking layers of fabric. They will be left here, to be boiled by Agnes later in a separate cauldron used only for this purpose. Standing in the cold morning air, clad only in your small clothes, you sluice buckets of cold water over yourselves. It's a brutal, shocking cleansing, but a necessary one. The water washes away the surface layer of filth, but it cannot touch the smell that has become part of you, the deep, phantom stench that lives in your hair, your skin, your nostrils. You dress in the clean, simple clothes you left at the yard before the night began. The feel of the rough but clean linen against your skin is a small, profound luxury. The three of you share out the night's earnings. William counts the coins carefully, his lips moving silently. He gives you your share, a hefty pile of silver shillings. You clench them in your fist. They feel heavy, real. This is the proof. This is the reason. This is the weight that balances the scales against the filth, the danger, and the shame. A good night's work, William says. It is his highest form of praise. You agree. A good night. Kit, clutching his own smaller share, an apprentice's wage, but still more money than he'd ever seen in one place before he joined you, looks from you to William. Will we always smell of it? He asks, his voice small. You and William exchange a look, a flicker of shared, weary understanding. You get used to it, William says gruffly. And so do the people who matter. It is the closest he will ever come to a comforting word. You part ways in the growing light, three shadows melting back into the city. Your walk home is different now. You are no longer the Gong Farmer, but Thomas, a husband and father returning from a long night's labor. The streets are busier, and you merge into the growing crowds, just another face, albeit one that people still unconsciously give a little extra space to. When you reach your lane, the smell of wood smoke is in the air. You open the door to your house, and the warmth of the hearth, the smell of porridge cooking, envelops you. It is the smell of home. It is the smell of sanctuary. Agnes is there, her back to you as she stirs the pot. She turns as you enter, and a small, tired smile touches her lips. She doesn't comment on the faint, lingering odor that follows you like a ghost. She doesn't have to. She knows the price of the coins in your pocket. Your children are awake, sitting at the small wooden table. Your daughter runs to you, and you lift her into your arms, burying your face in her clean, sweet-smelling hair. This is the moment. This is the entire point. For this, you would descend into 100 cesspits. For this, you would face the darkness, the danger, and the disgust. You are home. You have survived the night. And for now, that is enough. The day is for sleeping. While London roars with life outside your walls, your small house is an oasis of quiet. You collapse onto your bed, the exhaustion so profound it feels like a physical weight pressing you down into the straw mattress. Sleep comes instantly, a dark, dreamless void. It is not a restful sleep, but a state of temporary annihilation, a shutting down of a body pushed beyond its limits. You are vaguely aware of the rhythms of the house around you. The soft murmur of Agnes's voice as she talks to the children, the sounds of her daily chores, the smell of the midday meal. These are the sounds of the life you have purchased with your nocturnal labors. You are a ghost in your own home during the day, a sleeping presence, a father who exists in reverse. You wake in the late afternoon, as the sun begins to slant low in the sky. The deepest aches have subsided to a dull, persistent throb. You eat the meal Agnes has saved for you, your hunger a raw, desperate thing. As you sit by the fire, your son, young Tom, comes to you. He is a quiet, observant boy, and he watches you with an intensity that sometimes unnerves you. He doesn't ask about your work. He has been taught that it is not to be spoken of. But you see the questions in his eyes. He holds out his hand. In his palm is a small, tarnished silver coin you missed during the cleanup, which must have fallen from your pouch. It is crusted with a dark, earthy substance. He must have found it amongst your discarded work clothes. "This was yours, father," he says. You look at the coin, lying there in his small, clean hand. It is the perfect symbol of your existence. A piece of treasure dredged from the filth. Value and vileness, inextricably linked. You take the coin from him. "Thank you, son." You look at his hands, his face, his future. You see the hope of a different life, a cleaner life. You see the reason you will, in a few short hours, rise again, pull on your stiff leather boots, and go out to meet William and Kit. You will harness yourselves to the cart and pull it into the waiting darkness. Because the city never stops producing waste. The great beast of London is always hungry, and always full. The work is never, ever done. Tonight, it might be the cesspit of a wealthy widow in Cripplegate. Tomorrow, a block of overflowing privies in a crowded tenement near the city wall. Each pit is different, but the work is always the same. A descent into the dark, a battle against filth and fatigue, and a return to the light, pockets heavy with the strange, foul-smelling currency of survival. You are a Gong Farmer. A Nightman. A necessary phantom. Your story is not written in the grand chronicles of kings and queens. It is written in the secret, subterranean history of the city, in the strata of its cesspits, in the smells and textures that polite society pretends do not exist. But your work is the foundation upon which the city stands. Without you, London would choke on itself, drown in its own prosperity. You are the keeper of the city's dirtiest secret, the silent, weary hero of its bowels. And as the evening bells begin to toll, you feel the familiar chill in the air. It is the signal. It is your time. The night is calling, and you must answer.